We're backstage at the 5th Not So Silent Night, the Fillmore Silver Spring with Andreas Moss. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
You are officially, and you have been for months now, my favorite new R&B artist.
Thank you so much. That's saying a lot, actually.
There are a lot of very talented,
really good R&B artists.
But I want to tell you how I discovered your music, because I have a new music show on Sunday nights called Fresh Discoveries.
Okay.
And my boss and I sat down, and every week we go through new music.
Yeah.
And he said, there's this incredible artist named Andreas Moss. He's very talented, and we're going to play a song this Sunday. And I'm like, okay, there's a lot of new music that comes through.
Right.
And I'm in the studio, and I'm tracking the show, and I play your song, and I replayed it in the studio probably 7 or 8 times.
Yes.
Stuck in My Feelings is my favorite song right now in that genre.
Thank you so much.
It is such an incredible song. And immediately what I thought was, what does this song mean? Why did he write it? What was the genesis behind it?
Yeah.
And I decided, like with music, everything is subjective, and it's such a personal experience.
Yeah.
And I decided this, to me, is about when I broke up with a girl that I was in love with, and I couldn't get over it for the longest time, and I was stuck in my feelings.
Yeah.
But for you, it was different.
Totally different thing. Yeah, and for me, it was actually about addiction, and it's about a relationship with addiction, but I wanted to write it in the perspective still of a romantic relationship, because I think I don't want it to be so specific that people can't relate to it themselves, and that's what you got out of it,
right?
And that's great. And so that's why I think I've put my addiction into a relational format, because it felt like I was in a really abusive relationship with an addiction for many years, and afterwards, you know that it's right to go away from it, but you still miss it. There's still, your body's still telling you that you need it, so it's very, very difficult. So it's almost like you convince yourself over and over again to go back to something that you know is bad for you.
Right. And again, you're saying these things, and I'm thinking, I've been in relationships like that.
Yeah.
You know that it's detrimental.
Totally.
But you stay in it anyway because you can't get over the addiction of your feelings.
Yeah, totally.
And if you give it time and you heal, sometimes you realize that it wasn't as important as you thought it was.
Not at all. And then there's this, there's a huge void for a long time that you have to fill with other things, and it takes a while to do that. And I think people usually that are addicts, they can't last that length that you need to replace that feeling with joy.
How did you do it? Did you have a support system? How did you get over it?
Incredible support system, and that's the only way you can do it. Honestly, I've never met one single addict that has beat it by themselves, and I was filled with people that loved me and didn't treat me any differently because of what I was going through.
Now, you've talked to Dana before from Fresh, and she said that you were very comfortable with opening up and being very personal, and I appreciate that because I like doing very intimate interviews.
Oh, I love that.
May I ask you, who is the most influential person in your process of getting through your addiction?
My wife. Absolutely. And we've been through so many different things. And my story, since I was little, since I was 8, I traveled around with my family, and we grew up in a very conservative environment. And from a very young age, I realized that I was gay, and that was absolutely not okay in my circumstance. So a lot of people spoke a lot of hate over me, and that I was an abomination, and that I was disgusting. And at 19, I met this girl, and I'm like, I'm going to get married really quick and try to fix this. And in my head, I was going to make my parents happy and make everybody happy around me. And so the first 4 years of our marriage was horrendous, us trying to figure out how to love each other, and was an addict during my marriage.
Now, did she understand when you got into the marriage?
Yeah.
Did she understand that you were a gay man?
Yeah.
But so was she your protector? How did that work?
I think she didn't really I didn't even, I think both of us didn't really understand the extent of it all. But the thing that happened halfway through our marriage, we just fell in love in a really, really beautiful way, and in an intimate way. So it's not like, we love each other in every way possible. And
you're still married today?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We've been married for 9 years, and we have a 1-year-old baby girl.
Okay.
And the thing is, I never talked about it very long. I just kind of swept it under the rug, because when I was younger, I always felt like I wasn't allowed to talk about it, and people hated me for it.
Sure.
And so when I did start talking about it, it just felt like it was important, because so many people feel disgusting, or feel like they're not worth something, or they're worthy of love, and I think that it's important to show that, you know what, I understand you, and I'm in the same shoes, and it's important to talk about that stuff. I think, again, I say this all the time in all my shows, that it's so important to talk as human beings to each other, because then we can understand each other better, and we can have grace for one another better. And
grace is the best word to use, the best way of putting it.
Compassion.
And it's such a universal thing, of course, because if you can manage to have a dialogue with somebody and understand where they're coming from, deeply where they're coming from, and have humanity for them, you can actually, lessen hatred and violence, etc. That's my personal philosophy too. So we're vibing here.
Yeah, and I think that the world it's just filled with a lot of hate and a lot of and people don't have knowledge about each other. They don't.
That's
understand
exactly it.
They don't want to learn about each other. And the more we can break down those walls of fear between each other,
it was said, ignorance breeds fear. Fear breeds inhumanity. Man's inhumanity to man.
Yeah, I always think in my head, it's so stupid because it's Yoda that says it, but it's great because he's like, fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate leads to suffering. It's the truth.
That's right.
I was like, come
by the
on,
way,
Yoda.
Huge Star Wars fan. You didn't grow up in the States.
I did not.
You're not from here.
No, I'm from Sweden.
Do you live in the States now?
I live in Nashville now. Yep.
I love Nashville. What a great city.
It's very collaborative, and everyone's very kind and nice. Most of them.
Sure. It's a big music scene in Nashville.
Yeah, huge music scene.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Your family's there as well. Your wife and your child.
My wife and my child and my brother. Yeah.
And your brother as well.
My other family's kind of scattered over America.
Now, is this? I can't remember. Is this the first time that you've performed in Washington? Technically,
yeah. As Andreas Moss, yes.
Well, welcome to Washington. I know you've been here before. You've been to the station. You did a private performance with us.
Yeah.
I'm personally very happy to have you here.
I'm so happy.
And the whole Fresh family is happy to have you here. We're very excited about your performance tonight. Welcome to Washington.
Thank you so much.
This is essentially it is a debut for you, officially in concert. Yeah. We're happy to have you here at the Fillmore.
And
by the way, you are looking very patriotic. You're red, white, and blue. I don't know if that was an accident.
Someone told me it was a complete accident, but I'm so happy that a Swedish man can rep America.
Well, thank you, and again, welcome. And any surprises? Any Christmas music that we might hear?
There is a Christmas song in there. My favorite.
Right. Yeah. I might have heard something in the sound check. So
you knew.
I knew. But again, thank you for coming, Andreas. It's such a pleasure to meet you, and we're excited.
So
Stuck in My Feelings is his new single. You can hear it on 94.7 Fresh FM. We're Backstage at Not So Silent Night.